Hello everybody, my name is Matthew Lavis, and this is going to be a brief tutorial on, well, I don't know if it's brief or not, but it is going to be a tutorial on how to make GNS3 work with network address translation, actually getting a virtual machine on, as you can see the topology in front of you, actually getting it onto the internet using the Cisco ASA firewall 5520 in this case, because as a side note, the 5505 just does not allow you to do or allow you to have more than 3 interfaces, which is not going to be practical. I mean, I guess I could do it since we're just having the two here, 2 interfaces, but let's say I wanted to have a DMZ and some other machine or a server, it just doesn't work and it's not handled. So basically, the first thing I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and start over because I already have another topology that was 6 months ago that I put on YouTube. And basically, the reason why I'm doing this video is because a YouTuber asked this question. He said, the user is Romero Balmaceda. He says, good video, man, but at the end, I would like to know, how do you configure the NAT for the internet access? So I told him I'd post something up. Sorry about that. So first of all, I just wanted to just say thanks for that question because it is a very good and valid question. Because I skipped it and said, you know what was just a mere second for you YouTubers was literally hours for me, and I didn't actually explain what I was doing. So I thought or I thought that this video would be quite helpful and instructive for you. You know, there's a lot of posts on Google where you can look at, like, I think one of them's, yeah, zeronetworks.com. If he has some great tutorials, but they're complex. I just have to say that some of them are just complex, and they don't need to be that complex. If you just want to do a simple getting these virtual machines on the internet, I'll give you an awesome way to do it. So this is a brand new one. I've done it before, and so this is a brand new ASA 5520. In fact, if I show you, oops, sorry, you have to hit enable, and on the Cisco's there are no passwords, so you just hit enter, and I just show running config. You'll see that there's nothing, so there's no interface access. The virtual machine itself that I'm using is a VMware workstation, so you can use whatever you like, but one thing to note in your VMware, whatever you're using as your VMware infrastructure, whatever you're using for your VMware infrastructure that you're using for your testing, or if you want to use your computer, you're more than welcome to do so. I just like keeping everything controlled, as is, I guess, a good way to put it. So let me go ahead and shrink this up and show you what I mean. So this is a virtual machine, a Windows 7 32-bit virtual machine, and under my settings for the network adapter, you'll see that it's a custom VMnet2. So what I did, and what you can do, this is a Windows 8 machine, you can do it in Windows 7 as well, so we just go to VMware Network Editor, and this warning will pop up. It's going to load up the configurations, and you go to VMnet2, and I just made it a host only. I disabled DHCP because I don't want it to, and it is a 10.1.68.0. In fact, I always like proper documentation, and I screwed that up, so we'll say right there, we'll say that this tunnel between these things is that, and the interface on this port would be 68.1, and I'll just bring it down here so you understand that this goes to this interface, which is how this computer, this virtual machine, is being, this virtual machine is this IP address. It's going over through the switch using this network interface, right? And so you just hit OK and it'll go, and then you just set your virtual machine to that interface. So it's going over that interface, or going over that tunnel, that cord, is virtual cord as it were, and then it's going to this interface right here, the 10.1.68.1. Well, first of all, as you noticed on our configuration there on gigabit Ethernet 1, it's shut down. First of all, there's no name if, there's no security level, and there's no IP address. And same thing with this virtual loopback adapter, this loopback adapter. So the interface for this one is the 192.168.137.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.137.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.137.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.137.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.137.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.137.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192.168.1. In fact, if I did, so we'll go ahead and, 192 Let us go through. Yeah. Okay. And if we did show IP, you'll see that there's nothing there. If we did show route, you'll see that nothing technically is connected because all the interface management interfaces are down. So let's go ahead and start there. We're going to go ahead and add an interface because we're going to have to do things like enable a TFTP server. So we're going to use Cisco ASDM. So it's kind of helpful. So we're going to go to interface. Oops, sorry, config T. And this is just always going to ask that for the first time you set it up. So I'm going to say no. So I'm going to go interface, gigabit, Ethernet 1. I'm going to say name if inside. Yeah. Okay, and then the default is security level of 100. Let's say if I wanted to change the security level, I can always do, 80 or whatever, but 100's fine. I didn't even have to type that in. I just did. And then you can do IP address, and then we're going to say 10.1.68.1. And then the CIDR notation would be 255, 255, 255. Oops. .0, sorry. And then we're going to go ahead and hit OK or enter. And then our magic thing that brings it back up. Boom. Okay, so now if we exit that interface configuration and we do show IP, you can now see that I made a manual connection that's saying, okay, Mr. Interface, go ahead and become this and become active. And so now, if we go to the virtual machine, if I go to command prompt, if I did this correctly, we should at least be able to ping it. So we say ping 10.1.68.1. And we're getting replies back, probably 100%. Yeah, good, 0 packet loss. Now, let's try it on our lovely little ASA here. So let's say ping 10.1.68.5. Oh, it may fail. Oh, it failed. One of two things could be here. First of all, it could be that the firewall's on. So let's see if that's the case. So we'll go ahead and go to, I'm going to pause this and make sure that's what it is. I didn't do anything. I already had the firewall turned off, which is when you normally see a Cisco failing for a ping for a TCP. It's normally because your firewall is turned on, but I did have it off. It just took a while for the port to open up. So please remember that. Turn off Windows Firewall in order for successful pings to happen. So I'll show you here. So there it is, 100%. We have a zero loss ratio for any dropped packets. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, it was a successful ping. So that's good. Step 1 is down. Now let's go ahead and go to step 2, and that is trying to get this thing to go to the Microsoft loopback adapter. So first of all, by default, the loopback adapter for Windows 7 and Windows 8 and 8.1 is 192.168.137.1. So in fact, I can just bring up CMD and just show you briefly ipconfig, and we'll go ahead and go to the, yeah, right there. So that's the loopback adapter. So let's see if we can ping it. I actually haven't tested it. Oh, no, we can't do that. You want to know why? It'll fail. Watch, I'll show you. Can you guess why? .1. There's no route to it, right? We only set up one management interface so far on this thing, this side, and nothing on this side. So let's go ahead and give it a configuration. So since we're already in the config, we just go interface, gigabit, Ethernet 3, right? Yeah, Ethernet 3. And then we're going to go ahead and go to, same thing, name if outside, that's kind of fitting, and the outside by default is 0, which is what we want, because as I posted in my previous video, water always flows downhill, which means packets can move from this side to that side without any problems. Now we're going to go ahead and go to so security level's done, name's done. We just give it an IP address. And we're going to say 192.168.137.255.255.255.0. Bam. And of course, no shutdown. Oops. I don't know if that actually took it. There we go. Yeah. No shutdown. Because you don't want to do no shun. So, no shutdown. And we're going to go ahead and do, so exit out of here, and we'll do show IP. And there we go. We have our two interfaces up. And we'll go ahead and test that now. So we'll say ping 192.168.1.137.1. And we got a successful ping out of that. So wonderful. Now let's try it from, if we do it again, we should be successful from our end, and we should say ping 192.168.137.2. And we got successful replies from them. So at least now we're talking. And what the next step for this is that we should be able to ping to the outside world. And I closed down my console port because I'm a dork. There we go. Let's go ahead and ping. Let's try 8.8.8.8. Oh! Again, I've messed up. Okay, so it says there's no route. You're absolutely right. So let's go ahead and show route. And you'll see that they're connected directly to these things. So like I wrote down here, the one, this interface, and then this interface is the .0. No, I don't know what this is. Oh, that's that's the interface over here. So yeah, we can keep it there. We'll just put it on this side. That's this interface. And but there's no route. There's no gateway of last resort. There's nothing. There's no RIP. There's no IRP. There's no NATing of any kind. Network address translation. But we're not going to really worry about NATing. I'm going to go ahead and set up the TFTP so you can see the GUI part of this, because most of the time when you walk into a building, either the business manager or somebody's going to say, okay, well, we have this computer here. You can access it through that terminal only, and there's a reason why, and I'll show you the command in just momentarily. So I'm going to go ahead and set this environment up, and then we'll leave off where we left off, okay? You know what? I decided I was just going to show you how to do it, because just in case you're interested, this would be like a real-life tutorial if you're going to set up something. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the... No, I'll just delete what I have here. So I'm already in the configuration mode, so I'm going to go ahead and do copy, TFTP. We're going to go flash. Yeah, and our host is, we already know what our host is, 10.1.68.5. And this will be the virtual machine. This is going to be the host, the server, TFTP server, right? And inside there, I have a directory of the ASDM, which I want to put onto there so that we can actually download it via HTTPS. So let's go ahead and bring this terminal back up. I'm going to go OK. The source name is, we're going to say ASDM. It has to be precise, so 641.bin. Okay. And the destination, that's fine. And there it goes. Alright, so this takes some time because it actually has to read from the TFTP server. In fact, see, it tells you right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it because you don't need to see all that. Okay, so it looks like it finished copying here. So we're going to go ahead and enable HTTP. But first of all, if you ever want to reload this particular ASA, it's kind of important that you set it to set this to something. So I wrote down this command, which is very important. Okay, so if you want it to boot up and you do a reload, or you lose your configuration and you need to save it, you're going to go ahead and write this in. So we do ASDM, and what was it? Image flash. Okay. Always forget all these little things, right? So if you do, you can always do what I did there, which just question mark tells you already. And then you're going to give it the path name, which in this case it already told us what our path name was, which was ASDM-641.bin. Alright, there you go. And now if we did write, it's going to build a configuration and send it off. Awesome. Okay, so from here, we're going to go ahead and enable HTTP. Yeah, server enable. And that's it. I know you're probably wondering, like, oh, why is it HTTP and you said HTTPS? Well, it's because you have to enable the HTTP server so it understands that there's going to be response on the ASA's end. Now we're going to go ahead and do yes, so we're going to do HTTP. You're going to tell it the interface to use. So that's the 10.1.68.5. So we're being very specific. 255.0. So let's say if I wanted to make this anybody. So if I let's look back at our topology and let's say I wanted the entire anybody. Let's say there's multiple virtual machines in this, and you had different managers. I want everybody on this entire network to be able to manage it. Then you just do, you change it up. You'd say 10.1.68.0.255.255.255 subnet, and that way it would do everybody. But we're just going to say one computer. Oops. Oh, my bad. I missed out some of those options. So we're going to say inside. Oh, why am I doing that today? See, I'm just having an off day since we're specifying a specific. And there you go. That works. So my bad. It would be the other way around, right? We all know that. .0 would mean anybody from 1 to 254 would be included in that. So I just switched it around. Just switch them around and you're good. So go ahead. It went ahead and activated this HTTP as for the specific machine. So we're going to go ahead and minimize this. We'll bring up our virtual machine. And we'll bring up a web browser. I know this extended it by quite a bit, so ask me later. And we'll go to 10.1.68.1. And I'll pause it while it takes us there for a little bit. Alright, so it did take a little while to get the ASA up. Continue to this website. We're just going to run the ASDM. And we're going to say your Java is insecure. We're just going to say later. I don't really care. Right now we can update Java later. It's just Java. So it's not a big deal. Oh, and we're going to go ahead and continue it. And we had no user in this case. This is from my previous one. So we're just going to hit OK. And if you don't have any of ASDMs while we're waiting for this to load, please Google all that. I mean, it's out there on Google if you need the ASDM file so that you can do what I'm doing here. All that stuff is available via Google. Okay, so here it is. Has to load up all this information. It's trying to grab all the information from our Cisco ASA 5520. Right there, it tells you their device and the license and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go forward from this point. Sorry, I took a quick break there. So we're going to go to configuration. We're going to go to routing, because I said we had no routes. So let us set up a static route. So we're going to add, and we're going to say outside, and somebody's calling me again. Not important. So we're going to say outside. We're going to say any. So 0.0.0 is equal to any. And we're going to say the gateway is 192.168.137.1. The matrix, it can be whatever you want. It's just an administrative distance, not an actual what you're used to in the firewall world. And we're good. Excellent. So we're going to hit apply. So we're saying we're going to route outside on any IP address on any subnet using our 137.1 interface on matrix 1. So we're going to go ahead and send this to the ASA. And if we can verify that, being pulling up our terminal, let's say show route. And there you can see a static route was just added. So now let's try pinging to the outside world. And we got a successful rate. Alright, so major step 2 is done. We are now able to ping to the outside world. So